So hi everyone who's ever watching this. Okay, so the reason why we're doing this is because we've been doing it like a one-on-one coaching, email coaching, okay, and we get some really good questions, and we thought, why don't we share some of them and like give the answers that we gave, because I feel like everybody's going through something, and maybe this will help a few people. Maybe that you're having the same thoughts, or you're going through something, and this would help you, right? So do you want me to start off with the question?
Yeah, where are we getting these questions?
From I told you, from our one-on-one email coaching.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
With Skills for Freedom.
Oh, Skills for Freedom.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Skills for Freedom. All right, go ahead.
Okay, so one of the questions we got was, with such a crowded market, okay, in their niche, which is obviously internet marketing, okay, and there's other niches, of course, too. How do I go about being different so I get noticed? In other words, so like, how do they stand out in a crowded field of other internet marketers, basically, is the question that this person asked.
Well, that's the $64 million question that every marketer is trying to figure out, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, I don't think there's a single business out there who are looking for branding or attention. This is probably their main challenge, right? So we're going to answer the question, or we're going to discuss the question, I think. I mean, the answer comes in many ways. I think the best way is to discuss options, right? Discuss different things that we can do to stand out. Especially, I mean, I bet this question is coming from an online marketer, maybe, maybe in the make money space, make money online space. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough, especially on social media, where you can have thousands of friends, and all thousands of friends, they're all promoting the same thing. And how do you stand out, right? Well, I think we know the answer, right? Everybody knows the answer. It's just a matter of
embracing it, I feel.
It's just
embracing
a matter of
that
answer. Just a matter of embracing, implementing what we already know. Is that? I mean, we always say that, you got to be ourselves. You got to be you, because nothing else is the same. So I guess everybody knows that you got to be you. But I want to give you a couple of things that you can tactically do to stand out in the crowd, right? I've noticed most of these online marketers, some of these online marketers, they get attention easily. Why do they get attention easily? Right? They're noticed, they're heard, anything that they put out is being sold, right? We had an article about this on our last issue of Skills for Freedom, that why are some marketers, whatever they do, they get noticed. They sell a bunch of products, and everybody is flocking up to them. Why is that, and why is not happening to the rest of us, right? I think if you notice each one of them, there are a few common things that they're doing, right? Besides being consistent with whatever they're doing. That's number one. So whatever you're doing, if you're consistent with it, as long as it's working, if you're consistent with it, in time, you are going to be in that place where you're going to be noticed, right? Because you're not giving up. You're constantly putting it out there, despite all the negativity that comes to you, despite all of the negatives that happens to you. You're still putting it out there, and people notice that, right? The consistency, and then also it could be when you're starting out, it could also be that people are waiting for you to get better. I mean, I think of it that way, is that why aren't people jumping onto my program or just engaging with me, whatever. It's because I believe it's for my own good, is that they're waiting for my best stuff, right? So they're waiting to see if you're going to give up, right? Now, if you don't give up, they're waiting for you for your best stuff, right? Now, there's a couple of points that I noted that some of these marketers are doing. Number one is to say something no one else is saying.
But in a nice way. But see that, and I agree with you on that. I think that's great. You do have to, because that's how you actually show yourself in the market. But do it in a way where it's comfortable for you. Because if it goes, because I always think of this one example. I don't know if you want to bring it up now, but like I think of when I was a teenager, Howard Stern in the 80s, right? He, known as the shock jock, right? Whatever you think of him. But back then, he was in a very crowded field of other like morning disc jockeys, right? And he really wanted to get noticed. So I guess one day he had the crew, he had the right people around him, and he said, I'm going to be the shock jock, right? That was his branding, right? Because this is all about a branding issue, really. And that he branded himself, and he took that to a next level. But when I say be careful, is because he was able to just, like, he was actually being himself, okay? He created this persona. It was part of him, and he was able to take on the negatives with also the positives of building that tribe. So you have to be able to take on those negatives if you're going to do that, if you really want to stand out in the crowd. So I always say to people, that's great, but be mindful of what you do and be willing to take the good and the bad, really, with it. Right? Don't you agree, Abe?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a perfect example. Howard Stern, of course. Yeah, say something that no one else is saying.
Exactly.
It's hard. Everybody's saying something, right? Another way of looking at that is if someone is saying, if the market is saying something, and if you have a legitimate reason to go against that, and everybody else is afraid to do that, if you have a legitimate enough reason and obviously proof with your research and things, then go ahead and say it. When you do that, you're going the opposite direction, and boom, that's a best way to get publicity. That's a best way to get noticed. So these marketers have been doing that. Like if you look at their VSL or sales letter, the promise that they make is something that that goes something that goes against what the market is already thinking, so they get noticed immediately. So this is like a little tactical thing that I've seen that they're using, but so you can do it in an ethical way, as long as you believe that, and as long as you have proof for that, you can say something that people are not saying, people are not expecting. So that's one way to do it, right?
That's probably the that's probably the most effective way to do it. But again, it's also it could be like a poisonous thing too if it's not. Right? So you agree with me on that one for sure. Yeah.
Well, who comes to mind when you say that? It just happened a couple of days ago. Somebody who tried to do that and it just blew up in his own face.
Yeah, because he did it for the wrong reasons. That's my opinion.
Yeah, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, and I think that's the way a lot of people take it too. It's like with this whole, and I don't want to, and just so I don't
know who it is.
I don't want to get into politics, but this is a person. Can I just give a little side story so they don't think that we're getting into? I don't want to get into the whole crux of the political
No,
BS.
but it's a
But
perfect
it's
example.
a perfect example of,
After all,
yeah,
politics is also
it is
marketing.
marketing.
So,
You're right. It is. I mean, like when we say, we've said this before, that marketing is in every part of our life. You're marketing when you want to find a spouse, when you want to find a mate. You know, politics is total marketing also. But this just goes to show when really it goes against what you're really feeling, right? You're not being yourself. It is a poison pill. And I'm talking about that guy, that senator from Missouri, Josh Hawley, because this is a guy, if you know his history, he was an attorney general, so he knows the law, he knows the way everything works, and he completely went against his grain because he wanted to, for political reasons, for political posturing, right, to get on the good side of people, went against what he really knew at heart wasn't going to happen. And it totally blew up in his face. He had a book deal, it got canceled, and it's not because it's, you know, they try to blame the liberal or whatever. It's not that. It's just that people realize what happened that day, what happened on Tuesday. Was it Tuesday? Wednesday was completely wrong. Okay, that's totally against democracy, what America stands for.
okay.
And he was going against that, and it shot back in his face. That's a really good example of what.
Absolutely agree. We don't want to go into that, but I was just pointing that out because, and you explained that well, is that he tried to say something that he tried to go the opposite direction, but this was something, you know, it's a moral issue. I mean, not everyone might agree to it, but it just blew up on his own face. You want to make sure that when you're saying something that's, you know, that no one else is saying, you want to make sure that you've done your research and that you really feel it.
Yeah.
So if you can.
Yeah. So I just want to say, you know, no, I don't want to get, like I said, I didn't want to make this a political, because we're not political. We're talking about marketing,
Right.
but, and this kind of pertains to that question of branding. So, you know, he's branded now that way. That's his branding, and that's going to stick with him. So be very careful.
Yeah. So say something what no one else is saying, but make sure that it goes with your heart and it is for the good of other people as well. Right. Mm-hmm. So that's one way you can do it. Another way you can do it is to, okay, so we all produce content. Like, you know, if you start talking about, so when you say producing content in marketing is the marketing principles, the tactics, strategies, motivation, things like that. When you're just sticking with that in a very point by point style, it sounds the same as everybody else, right? It's going to begin to sound like everybody else. What you want to do is you want to use the content. You want to tell you want to put the content out with your personal stories, right? You want to add your personal stories when you are putting content out there. That completely makes it unique, and that completely makes you stand out. Definitely, because it's your personal story. No one can tell your personal story, right? So that's another way of doing it. And I'm just going to speed it up. Another way of doing it is, we've all heard about personal branding, personal branding websites, personal branding blogs, and things like that, right? So when you design your blog or your website, make sure that you give yourself one page, which is about me page, to talk about your story and all of that. But everything else should be focused towards the reader, something for the reader, right? You're not always talking about yourself and your little life or whatever. You're actually, yes, of course, you are going to be using your stories, but everything is focused towards your market, your people, your tribe, your readers, right? So if someone comes to your site or your blog, they feel that, hey, he's talking to me, and he's not talking about himself, but he's talking to me. I
Absolutely.
think that brings a lot of value for people outside. And when people see value, you are automatically unique, different,
So,
right?
so what you're saying then is that on that last on that last fact is that, so you have a site or you're branding yourself and you have your About Me page, but when you're writing all the other content on the site, always do it from the point of the person that's going to be reading it, the visitor to that website. You want to touch, you want to kind of like touch base with them, is basically.
Because there are a lot of blogs out there. Well, people post blogs every day, personal blogs, whatever. They're constantly talking about their day. Well, it really depends on the market that you're in.
Yeah.
Right. But if you're in a market where you're out to give value, then make sure that you're talking to the person. You want to write something as if someone's your best friend, or the best friend in your business is sitting right in front of you, and you're talking to them.
Yeah.
And you're giving him value. You're not always talking about your story all the time, but you're talking to him.
Absolutely.
Right. Helpful to him. Do you have anything else? I mean, there's so many things, especially in the personal development space. If you look into it, there are so many ways that you can. Confidence is the thing, right? A lot of people want to be like other people, right? Instead of embracing themselves, they want to be like the other people. I think that comes from our school days, where we are trying to
You mean like
fit in.
middle school? Ooh, I hated middle school.
Yeah.
I hated middle school.
I think the programming absolutely comes from there, is that
Yeah.
you want to be like the other kids, so you try to be like them, even though it's the dumbest thing that they're doing. You'll start doing that because you want to fit in.
That's, you know what that is though, when you're in middle school and high school, I look back, the peer pressure type thing, that's you, or that's kids being in survival mode, right? Because if you don't belong to one of the groups, nobody's going to bother with you, right? Nobody's going to really bother with you. So that's that survival mode kicking in. But now we're adults, and it's like, well, isn't it funny? It's like, when you get out of high school, it's like, oh, who gives a shit about that? It's like, I want to be myself. So
but we have a problem with that, because we bring that on, and we go out in the market. All right, you have to do your research on what's going on out there, how are people doing things, but you don't want to be like them.
Exactly.
Right? That is not, you obviously you want to learn, you want to backtrack the principles and tactics they're using, but you don't want to be them. You want to be you. Like, you want to find your voice.
And I think a lot of people, like, when they say, you see it all the time, right, too, Abe? You see, like, if you want to be successful, you do what other successful people do. So like you said, it's following their tactics and their strategies,
right,
but not being them. Because I find a lot of people trying to emulate that person, and that's not going to work, because it's not genuine to who you are, right? Because in the end, what this is really all about is liking yourself, loving yourself enough to say, hey, this is who I am, okay? And I'm going to be this, and if you don't like it, tough. But I'm going to find people that do like it, right? So
there is a term out there called modeling, especially in the marketing space and PD space. Modeling people, like you said, you don't want to emulate them. You want, if you don't know how to start, you can model certain things, because modeling is not taking what they're doing, but just taking in how they're doing it, or the steps, or the structure of the whole thing, and that's modeling. And you can mistake that with emulating someone. You don't want to be like someone out there, especially someone successful, because that's their voice, and I think the confidence really kicks in once you find your own voice,
I
right?
agree.
A lot of times in marketing, it's like, yes, sometimes you probably have found your voice and you know your voice, but you haven't gotten any feedback. You haven't gotten any feedback from others, right? So you're not sure if that voice is the right voice or whatever. All kinds of doubts, you know, will start hitting you at that time. Is that because you haven't had any feedback? So the next thing to do is, okay, if you have found your voice, if you're confident about yourself, and that takes work, right? If you're confident, that takes years and years of work. If you're confident now, if you're at a stage where you think that, hey, I know myself, I like myself, I know I can give value. If you're at that point and you haven't started getting the feedback, now is the time for action, right? So how are you going to get feedback if you don't, if you're not seen, or if you don't consistently put stuff out there? You're not going to get confident. You're not going to get feedback. I'm sorry, right? And that's what you need to do. You need to start acting. You need to start saying, all right, so I got this. I am confident. I know my voice. Now I need to start acting. So you start making schedules. I mean, so many tools out there like Lives and all of that. You can steadily, consistently put your content out there until you get feedback. Negative, positive, it doesn't matter. You know, that's irrelevant. You want feedback.
And you know what? And I just want to jump in because I was just going to say, or I was thinking, and I'm glad you said it, negative or positive feedback, because people know that negative, like you hear people say, you hear people write it, you hear people say it, oh, negative means that they're noticing you. And it does, it absolutely does. So you need the negative too. But a lot of people really don't think that, because the minute they get negative feedback, they try to change. And that's the thing, don't do that. But another advice I want to tell people is, if you get negative feedback, don't respond to it. Don't respond to it, because the more you respond to it, the more negative it gets. And that's another mistake I see people, when they do finally find their voice and they're putting it out there, they respond to that negative feedback. Don't do it, because you're not going to change that person's mind. Not everyone is going to love you. It's just the way it is. And they're going to disagree with you, you know?
Yeah. I mean, the way I handle it is that, you know, when you look at me, what do you see? You see your reflection. Whatever opinions you might have about me or about yourself, it's a reflection of their experience. And if you take it that way, you won't have any problems, and your confidence starts building from there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. What do you see when you look at me? Are you judging me? Are you whatever? It's your problem.
Exactly.
You deal with it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you deal with it. I know myself, and I'm doing my thing.
There you go.
That's it.
And that's it. And that's it, people. And that's like a whole other PD thing that we can do, which because marketing is all about personal development, right? So I mean, I think we pretty much touched everything. Do you have anything else to say, Dave Cherian?
No, that's it. You can wrap it up.
Okay, so I just wanted to just talk real quick, if you don't mind. I just want to put my last cents in, what's left of my cents. So, you know, I want to say thanks to everybody who's watching this now or later, whether it's on the group or whether it's on Abe's timeline. We didn't really want to keep you that long, but this is a really good, I thought this was a really good question. And I really wanted to talk about it because it's what's happening now. Okay, so if you're an online marketer or an entrepreneur, or you're just looking to start a business, or you're just starting out now, okay, I'm asking everyone who hasn't already to please check out our weekly newsletter, Skills for Freedom. That's Skills, the number 4, or FOR Freedom. Either one of them goes to our Skills for Freedom website. We publish every Wednesday. It's a free newsletter. It's a free newsletter, and it's 20 to 30 pages short or long, however you want to look at it. And it's really what's in those newsletters is what's working for marketers right now. We also have a VIP membership that we just started. And what you get with that is newsletter archives where you can read not only our previous issues, but you can even, if you put out content online, you can republish the content on there as long as you use one of our disclaimers. That's all we ask, and we have it on the site for you. What we offer is one-on-one email coaching, which is one of the questions that that we just answered here. And that's where you can expect to have an expert on your site 24/7 with any questions that you can have. Okay, we are working on the joint venture community where you can access our private group and do profitable JVs or collabs with others. We offer on there and the VIP membership courses and resources. Now the courses and the resale rights are worth $1,985 alone, and in the resource section, we're giving 600 links and resources to help make your marketing easier, okay? And these are things that we're gonna be constantly adding to. And the cream of the crop is that we are offering a monthly recurring income with this if you're an affiliate marketer or you just wanna earn some extra money. We pay out 50% recurring commission on our affiliate program. So our VIP membership is kept really, really affordable at $99 a month, and we're paying out 50% of that. So we're sharing it with the affiliates. So I am sure that you're going to pick up $1 million idea with each one of our issues. I know that for sure because I'm so happy with this newsletter. So really, if you haven't, come check it out. And I'm going to tell you that Skills for Freedom, okay, is going to give you, you're going to be able to master the skills that you need to create your dream online business in 2021 and beyond. Okay, guys, so I want to thank you for joining us. I hope that this question maybe answered some of your own issues that you're having, and I'm done, Abe.
And if you have any suggestions on how you do it, how you your thoughts on this, go ahead and post it on the comment section.
Yes. Awesome.
And make sure that you subscribe to our free newsletter, Skills for Freedom.
Okay.
Great.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.